These are way of walking the talk, no? Kasi may mga challenges, so wala na maraming salita. Pumunta na lang kami rito. At the instance of the Senate President, niyaya niya ako rito.
Sabi na siya, in fact, inimbitahan niya na lahat na nagnanais kumandidato ay sumailalim sa isang drug testing. Nang sa ganun, alam naman ng tao kung sino yung karakter at sino yung kanilang binoboto.
Kung kinakailangan, hair follicle, dugo, o wiwi, yes, so okay lang ako. Ako, wala naman ako kinukubli pag ganun sige.
And one after another, presidential bets have either expressed willingness or have already submitted themselves to drug testing.
This as the president claims that one of the hopefuls uses cocaine. But do these tests really amount to anything? Good evening, I'm Gretchen Ho.
I'm Robbie Alampa. You're watching The Big Story. To be clear, the Commission on Elections still does not require drug testing for those seeking public office. But those gunning for the presidency have taken it upon themselves to be tested just to clear their names of any possible drug use.
But does this really address the issue? Experts say scheduled testing is not all that reliable. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro gives us a front seat to the big story.
Presidential candidates are lining up for their drug tests, if only to show that they're not the ones being alluded to by President Duterte's allegation of cocaine abuse. But the truth is, these drug tests will not amount to much. National Referral Laboratory Head Dr. Jennifer Mercado said the Philippines only has urine drug testing, and urine drug testing will only detect the use of marijuana, cocaine, or shabu in the last 5 days.
If they are a chronic user, then the number of days that it will stay in the urine, most likely, mas matagal.
Other drug testing methods, such as using the hair as a sample, can detect the drugs from up to 3 months before, but this is not yet available in the country. Because of this, Catalino Cuy, the Dangerous Drug Board's chairman, said voluntary or scheduled testing is not that reliable.
Titigil lang muna siya for a few days, 1 week, the longer the better para sa kanya. And then he subject himself to drug testing. Negative siya.
Cuy adds that he has seen instances where the person submitted water in place of their urine. But does this mean drug tests are unreliable?
Yung unannounced, unscheduled, surprise, then it will serve yung purpose. No? Otherwise, it's a useless exercise.
Cuy adds that random drug testing is even better to do after the holidays or long weekends, as this is when users use the substance. Dr. Mercado adds that verification steps on the day of the test itself is very important.
Body search, checking if he has a prepared urine, no suspicious action is happening.
There have been debates on whether or not random drug testing should be mandatory for candidates. All major presidential candidates had agreed so far and are willing to do this. But for now, the Commission on Election does not require drug tests. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro, we are One News.
To tell us more about drug tests, joining us tonight, head of the National Reference Laboratory, Dr. Jennifer Mercado. Dr. Mercado, welcome to The Big Story.
Good evening.
Ma'am, a few things there that I have to admit, I was surprised. Tama ba yung dinig ko that all this time, all of these years, our capacity is only mostly for urine test, nothing more advanced or more reliable or more all-encompassing than that?
It's urine test that we have right now in the country, but this is reliable in terms of drug testing. Urine drug testing, it is the methods are well standardized. It is economical. But in the coming year, we are going to do oral fluid for the saliva drug testing.
Okay. Now, another thing that was mentioned, it is reliable, but it only speaks for a particular window of time. How long and how big is that window for validity?
That would depend. That would depend with regards to the amount that the person is taking. That would also depend on the bills of that person. There are other things that need to be considered. But it's important that the amount that this person is taking should also be checked.
Okay, yeah. Mr. Cui of the Dangerous Drugs Board said, kung hindi lang din random, then it is useless. Is that an oversimplification? And what does that mean for how people should really be managing their expectations with all of these results coming out?
Well, what Director Cui has said was that if you do not announce, then the person using that illegal drug would not have any idea that he's about to undergo drug testing. So basically, you'll be able to catch him. But if, for example, you announce it to the company or to among the people, then of course those who are guilty of using the drug, then they can abstain and prepare for it.
Okay, Dr. Mercado, maraming salamat po. Dr. Jennifer Mercado is head of the National Reference Laboratory. While there's no need for it yet, more 2022 hopefuls have been subjecting themselves to drug tests that would include Vice Presidential aspirant and Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio. She tested negative for all illegal substances in a recent drug test. She says she volunteered upon the request of her running mate, Bongbong Marcos Jr. Presidential candidate and Senator Manny Pacquiao, meanwhile, has admitted to drug use at a young age. He said poverty and naivete got the better of him then. He clarifies, though, that he stopped when he entered boxing. And Manila Mayor Isko Moreno and his slate will undergo drug tests on Thursday. That will be done at the PDEA office. His team challenged other candidates to do the same.
These are the other big stories tonight. Is the spread of COVID-19 in the Philippines already controlled? The Health Department would like to seek the World Health Organization's guidance as positivity rate continues to meet the benchmark. Telco giants Globe and Smart are taking action as reports of spammy text messages increase. The mobile operators have blocked scores of numbers and IP addresses. And nobody wants to get stuck in traffic, not unless BTS happens to be on standby for an impromptu performance. These big stories after the break.
Oh my God!
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. The Health Department is now looking at the possibility of having the COVID spread in the country be declared under control.
But the agency is still not considering letting go of health protocols, especially as cases have been surging in Europe. Greg Gregorio has the story.
On Wednesday, COVID infections in the country dropped below the 1,000 level again at 890. This translates to a positivity rate of 2.5%. Positivity rate shows the percentage of positive samples out of all samples tested. To indicate low transmission, the World Health Organization set benchmark rate at 5% or lower for at least 2 weeks. Based on the Health Department's COVID tracker, weekly positivity rate in the country has been down below 5% since November. With these improving numbers, the Health Department is now weighing if the COVID spread in the country is already under control.
We will ask the guidance of WHO if we can already declare that the COVID pandemic in the Philippines has been controlled or contained.
While the situation here may be labeled controlled, Dr. Ted Herbosa says this is not tantamount to being COVID-free.
Pero that doesn't mean eliminated ang COVID. Dapat pwede pa rin siyang mag-resurgence dahil nandun pa rin sa test positivity rate na above 0.
With this, health officials are warning against complacency. This as Europe experiences a fresh wave of COVID infections. In Germany, the Christmas market has been cancelled as cases top 60,000. The UK has been racking up 40,000 infections daily, while France tallies 30,000 a day.
Look at Western Europe. They July 19, they announced a Freedom Day. They removed the masking mandate. So now they're on a 4th or 5th wave. You know, the rise is quite steep. So we don't want that.
Authorities are still urging the public to observe health protocols. This as the government tries to ramp up vaccination in the country through a 3-day national vaccination drive.
We need to prioritize those who are more vulnerable, not having the shot. Because when the surge comes, they will be the one that will be giving the burden of deaths and also a disease and also hospitalization.
Workers getting vaccinated in those dates will not be marked absent at work as long as they present proof of inoculation. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
We've been asking this for days now. Have you been receiving job offers from unknown numbers? We know you have been. Experts are reminding mobile users of some do's and don'ts should you get that spam-like message. Now, we talked to some experts. They said to One News advised the use of two-factor authentication systems. The additional login credential will require the use of a one-time PIN or link for verification. Once you have received these messages, never click on the link as this could lead to more security breaches. And in this case, the block and delete option is your best bet. Experts are also advising the public to refrain from using public internet connections which can be accessed in malls and establishments. Telcos, meanwhile, are also doing their part to put an end to this modus. Smart Communication has been blocking up to 500 numbers per day, as well as keywords and IP addresses. Meanwhile, Globe has blocked nearly 71 million messages and deactivated 5,670 phone numbers this year alone. Now, in light of the alleged data breach from contract tracing forms, SNR Membership Shopping said it had been a target of a cyber attack. SNR says that the limited contact information of its shoppers may have been obtained in the breach. In a statement, SNR assured its shoppers that their credit card details are safe and secured as these are encrypted. It added that it is taking the attack very seriously. They've already reported it to the National Privacy Commission.
Top local CEOs are feeling fairly optimistic about 2022 as the Philippines learns to, as they say, coexist with the virus. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez recaps day one of the Business World Economic Forum.
The Philippines' leading business paper, Business World, kicked off its two-day virtual economic forum with the theme Recovery Roadmap PH 2022 and beyond. Local and international experts came together to discuss how the country can start building back better post-pandemic. Bangko Sentral Senior Assistant Governor Iluminada Sicat underscored that the Philippine economy grew stronger than expected in 2021, with third quarter GDP coming in at 7.1%. But economists say the road to recovery is long.
Given the depth of the downturn and the length of the shutdowns of the Philippine economy, the scarring is going to last for a while.
Cochrane says the country could return to pre-pandemic levels by the end of next year. One thing that ratings agency Fitch is watching very closely is next year's polls.
What kind of policies come up after the elections, that's an area that we'll be actually assessing.
Fitch previously warned of a potential rating cut for the Philippines because of high debt levels. Still, local CEOs like BPI's TG Lim Cauco and Meralco Powergen's Jimmy Azurin remain generally optimistic for 2022 as they see steady signs of recovery.
Mobility is actually back to pre-pandemic levels, at least in the NCR, right? Credit card billings are very close to pre-pandemic levels.
We are closely monitoring energy consumption. It's almost close to the 2019 or the pre-pandemic level.
Business World's Virtual Economic Forum 2021 will resume on November 25, where key topics like the digital economy transformation as well as cybersecurity will be discussed. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez, We Are One News.
When you love something, you fight for it. This is the mantra Angelina Jolie and director Chloe Zhao came up for Jolie's character Athena in the highly anticipated Marvel film Eternals. In an interview with News 5, Angelina says she relates a lot with her Eternals alter ego.
It's not possible for me not to fight for someone. When I see an injustice and I think there's something I can do, I don't feel I can walk away from it as a person.
Angie found Athena's mental struggles challenging, and she had to dig deep to give justice to the role.
She's struggling with feeling very broken and overwhelmed, but where she is clear is what she fights for. And those who suffer and can be broken are also strong people because they are wrestling with something.
No wonder her kids approve of her character.
My kids did like this film and that the character is the most like me. And I think that's because they've seen me at my worst. I can be pretty tough, but they saw her as she's quite human. She's kind of open.
Eternals will be showing in all Philippine theaters on December 1 after a limited release on November 29 and 30. For News 5, MJ Marfori, We Are One News.
Time for another quick break. When we return, a maritime academy is now under house scrutiny for alleged hazing activities following the death of one of its cadets. The International Criminal Court is asking for more evidence, proving that government is indeed investigating drug war killings. And a Pinay news presenter in the US just lived the dream. Imagine having a front row seat to a BTS performance from right inside your car. More details on that right after the break.
Oh my God!
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. A 19-year-old cadet from the Philippine Merchant Marine Academy died of injuries from alleged hazing activities.
Videos and conversations during a congressional hearing show that the culture of hazing has been supposedly normalized within the PMMA grounds. Marian Enriquez with this report.
From paddling to punching, These videos show what has been allegedly deemed as normal hazing activities at the Philippine Merchant Marine Academy. The videos were sent to the brother of Midshipman 4th Class Cadet Jonas Bondok. While not in the videos, Bondok reportedly died due to hazing in July. Speaking before the House Committee on Technical and Higher Education, his brother Jelu says Jonas has confided to him about the abuses prior to his death.
Sabi ko, hindi naman nila sumusobra ng pananakit. Sabi niya, nawawala lang din ng sakit. Normal lang yan dito.
Screenshots of such messages would also prove Jelu's claims.
Normal lang ang hazing dito, kuya. Huwag mo na sabihin kay mama, ha?
According to Soco's medical legal report, Jonas died from blunt traumatic head injury. But the report also cited hematoma, abrasion, and several contusions in head and body. But only homicide was filed against 3rd Class Cadet Jomel Gloria, who admitted to hitting Jonas in the chest twice. Congressman Lawrence Fortun questioned why the suspect was not charged for violating the anti-hazing law, which is punishable by reclusion perpetua.
Did you not find it quite inconsistent that that Gloria only mentioned punching him twice on the chest, but the autopsy report mentions a lot of other injuries sa ulo, sa lieg, sa dibdib, sa tiyan, at sa extremities?
Wala kaming related incidents that it may have caused except na yung umaga na yun.
The Commission on Higher Education considers this an isolated case, which did not sit well with the Kabataan Party List.
Ano naman yung mga naging batayan para sabihin na hindi nangyayari ang hazing sa PMMA? At ano po yung mga proactive measures pa?
An executive session will be held to determine those involved in alleged hazing activities at the PMMA. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
The International Criminal Court said it will ask the Philippine government for tangible evidence to prove that the country is investigating the war on drugs. In a statement, ICC prosecutor Karim Khan said the need for evidence is included in the court's rules, should be submitted promptly once requested. But the palace maintains that the ICC has no jurisdiction over the Philippine government. Having said that, the Justice Department is deferring the issue to the Foreign Affairs Department. The DOJ says that it is focused on its own investigations, but vowed to provide information upon the ICC's request and government's authorization. In world news, NASA launched a spacecraft into the sky in an experimental attempt to deflect an asteroid. Dubbed as DART, that's the Double Asteroid Redirection Test. The craft flew aboard the Falcon 9 rocket 150 miles northwest of Los Angeles. Its payload, about a vending machine size, was released from the booster a few minutes after launch. It will begin a 10-month journey into space to reach the Didymos asteroid system, about 11 million kilometers from Earth. It will try to hit a stadium-sized moonlet at 24,000 kilometers per hour, enough to knock it out of orbit.
Now for the big story in sports. The Philippine Sports Commission has ordered pole vaulter EJ Obiena, as well as the Philippine Athletics Track and Field Association, to refrain from issuing public statements pending resolution of their rift. In a statement, the PSC said that it will mediate in the case and called on both Patafa and Obiena for a moratorium as well as a dialogue. The PSC also warned that failure to resolve the matter will lead to actions that will negatively affect Patafa as far as financial assistance is concerned. The Philippine Olympic Committee, meanwhile, has ordered its ethics committee to investigate the issue between Obiena and Patafa. And in other news, Phil-Canadian tennis star Leylah Fernandez was nominated for Most Improved Player of the Year in the 2021 WTA Player Awards. Fernandez reached new heights this year. She won her first ever WTA title in March at the Monterrey Open. Fernandez then zoomed to a career best number 24 in the WTA rankings after a stellar season that included a finals run in the US Open. Her last competition for the year featured a round of 16 finish in women's singles at the Indian Wells.
Getting stuck in traffic can be a real bummer. But if it means being on the front row seat of a BTS performance, then perhaps not.
Oh my god, this is amazing, guys!
That's what happened to Filipino-American news presenter Cher Calvin in West Hollywood in California. BTS were filming parts of the crossword concert segment of The Late Late Show with James Corden. Cher didn't expect that they'll perform Butter in front of her, more so that V will touch her car's hood. Speaking of Butter, most fans expected it to land a record a Song of the Year nomination for the 2022 Grammy Awards, after having spent over 2 months on top of the Billboard Hot 100 chart. But BTS only got a nod for Best Pop Duo or Group Performance of the smash hit. Some Swifties were also disappointed that Taylor Swift only got 1 nom, Album of the Year for Evermore. On the bright side, Pinoy-blooded singers dominated the lineup. Olivia Rodrigo and Her got 8 noms each, including Album and Song of the Year. Saweetie, meanwhile, got 2, including Best New Artist. Nick Garcia, We Are When Used.
Now, singing toys have always been expected to sing about children's topics.
But alas, a Chinese-manufactured cactus toy is singing and dancing about cocaine. The toy has been marketed as educational on Amazon, but the thing is, it supposedly teaches are not for kids.
A Polish grandmother from Canada said she was shocked to hear the toy's Polish lyrics about drug use, depression, and other subjects. In fact, back in June, another Polish mother from Taiwan also complained about the not safe for work toy.
We might need that here, no? With all the talk about cocaine and drugs.
Akala siguro nila walang makakaintindi. Mukhang Polish lang yung nakakaintindi.
I'm not sure, but we do need to get a little bit more educated on that. Maybe our age.
Ay, pero shout out to Cher Calvin.
Yeah, sobrang swerte, grabe.
I'm so intrigued. Gusto ko malaman paano siya sinwerte doon.
And people pay, I imagine, thousands of dollars to get the front row seat. Napakaswerte talaga.
Speaking of pay, hindi ako nagmamarunong dito. I don't completely understand it, but from the little that I understand it, that sounds like a candidate for an NFT.
Yung ano?
Yung video niya, di ba?
Pati yung video.
Di ba?
Pwede. May sinabi siya, pati yung hinawakan ata yung kotse niya eh. Tapos i-blue light niya yung fingerprints. Go, share. Well, how many days to go before Christmas?
31.
There you go.
31 days before Christmas.
Makalapit
Isang buong buwan na lang yun.
Sigurado pong tuloy pa rin po ang Pasko. 31 days to go. That wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
And stay safe, Philippines. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. We are One News. Have a good evening.